As the entire world reels from the shocking yet unsuccessful assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump, there was another assassination attempt on that same Saturday that no one is talking about. But unlike the attempt made on Trump, this assassination was successful and could signal significant changes in Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza. What happened? I'm going to break it down for you all on today's show. I'm Josiah, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Welcome to the show today. First, if you're a new watcher to the Israel Guys, please hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode of the Israel Guys. So, this last weekend was very significant, as pretty much I feel like almost everybody in the world has heard the news and realizes the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. And I believe will remain a sad and shocking day in the minds of Americans for a very, very long time. Even though the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump was not successful, thank God, it is a very sad day for our country when somebody reverts to this kind of violence to try and assassinate a political leader that they disagree with. It's one thing to vote for someone else. It's another thing to not like a candidate, but it is an absolute disgrace and a very sick measure to go and try to kill that person that you do not agree with. Here in Israel, Trump's assassination has also been a very, very big topic of conversation for many Israelis, as Trump is seen by many people here in Israel as maybe the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House. A lot of Israelis have been frustrated with the current U.S. administration, who have not, you could say, to put it politely, have not been the most helpful in Israel's war trying to eliminate the terror threat of Hamas in Gaza, and Israel's struggle against the evil of Hamas. The Biden administration has not generally been the most helpful. Obviously, they have given a lot of military aid to Israel. They have, in words, supported Israel in their war, but have been in the way in a lot of different areas as far as the negotiations, as far as pressuring Israel to pull their troops out, as far as pressuring Israel to stop fighting in Gaza, many things. And a lot of Israelis are frustrated with the Biden administration operating in that capacity. On the other hand, they see Trump, although we don't know what Trump would have done during this war in Gaza, they see Trump, judging from his last, his period in office before, and if he is elected president of the United States in this November, they see Trump as being able to help Israel, not just in moral support, not just in direct support, but also in stopping funds being sent to terror organizations here in Israel, and in sanctioning countries that pose existential threats to the U.S. and to Israel. And most Israelis are very grateful to Trump for his accomplishments in helping Israel during his term in office, before mainly recognizing sovereignty over the Golan Heights and moving the U.S. embassy to Israel's legitimate capital in Jerusalem, which no former president had the courage to do, and make that statement that Jerusalem is the eternal and rightful capital of the Jewish people, as is stated in the Bible. But a lot of people aren't talking about, and a lot of people may not know, because the news coverage of Donald Trump's assassination attempt has gone pretty viral and around the world, which is and impacts a lot of people around the world. There was another assassination attempt made on Saturday, except this one was successful, and that was in the Gaza Strip. Israel assassinated the second in command of Hamas's military, Mohammed Deif. Now, Mohammed Deif is second in command to Yahya Sinwar, who is the head of Hamas, and Mohammed Deif is the commander of Hamas's military wing and overseas field commanders. And just a little bit more about who this guy was. This is from JNS, the Jewish News Syndicate. It says Mohammed Deif was the mastermind behind 3 decades of jihadist terrorism against Israel. He was also a key catalyst in Hamas's ongoing efforts to team up with Iran and mortally wound Israel through a war of jihadist attrition from Gaza, Judea and Samaria, and Lebanon. He played a crucial role in transforming Hamas from a guerrilla force into a full-blown terror army within Gaza, complete with command and control, a major rocket arsenal, and an unprecedented network of combat tunnels. A terror army that would go on to unleash the deadliest attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. Yes, the mastermind behind October 7th. And here's what the strike on this arch terrorist look like. You can see these videos, just massive explosion. And Israel took him out with a targeted strike in the Al-Mawasi neighborhood of Khan Yunis. We are going to talk about the details of this assassination in just 1 second, but first, I wanted to tell you about our friends at Magen David Adom. Now, you may have heard of Magen David Adom, which is Israel's emergency medical services. They respond to every terror attack, heart attack, and car accident. They dispatch every ambulance in the nation and receive thousands of emergency calls every single day. Now, since October 7th, they have lost 36 of their people, medical professionals, killed by terrorists, and 17 ambulances were destroyed and disabled by terrorists. Now, they have saved thousands of lives during this current war and do so every single day. Every time you see a rocket attack, a drone attack, missile, mortar, shooting, or stabbing attack, they are there saving lives and need your help to do it. Because what you might not know is that Magen David Adom is almost entirely funded by insurance reimbursements and by donors. That means the bandages, ambulances, even medical training are donated by people like you. 90% of their 35,000 EMTs, paramedics, and first responders are volunteers. They need more ambulances, more bandages, more medical supplies, more blood, and so much more as they are stretched thin, responding to attacks from Hamas in the south and Hezbollah in the north, and every other daily emergency that happens in the nation, including daily acts of terrorism. Every single dollar matters. Please give to Magen David Adom to save lives in Israel. The link is down in the description below. All right, so here are more of the details of this strike on Mohammed Deif. And apparently Israel has been targeting him throughout the war, trying to pinpoint his exact locations in order to take him out and cripple Hamas's leadership, as they've been looking for Yahya Sinwar. And Israel has taken out many of Hamas's leaders and their commanders, military commanders, in the war so far. But they have not been able to reach Mohammed Deif until Saturday. So apparently this is from intelligence details published by Jewish Breaking News. Mohammed Deif emerged from the tunnels in Khan Yunis refugee camp, his birthplace and home, actually, Khan Yunis, birthplace and home, to meet with Rafat Salamo, who's the military commander of Khan Yunis in the Al-Mawasi neighborhood. According to Saudi sources, there was a breach in Deif's security circle, and someone provided information on his movements to Israel. Now, once Deif surfaced from the tunnels in Gaza, Israel saw the rare opportunity to eliminate him. Deif became complacent and likely went to the meeting in Al-Mawasi due to the negotiations over the hostage deal. Israel's in negotiations with Hamas for a hostage ceasefire deal. Another assessment is that the declaration of West Khan Yunis as part of a safe zone led Deif to move freely in Al-Mawasi, thinking that the IDF wouldn't eliminate him because he was surrounded by 80,000 refugees. Exactly how these terrorist leaders work, and all the terrorists, they surround themselves with civilians, saying that Israel will not target them. In this case, Mohammed Deif was completely wrong, and Israel took the opportunity and eliminated him. These details, intelligence details go on. It says Israel didn't want to eliminate him in the deep tunnels of Khan Yunis, fearing he might survive the attack, as many times Israel has targeted Mohammed Deif and even struck him or tried to take him out with precise strikes. And each time, somehow, Mohammed Deif managed to survive these attacks. Until this time, although I will say, be clear that Hamas has not confirmed that Mohammed Deif they refuse to confirm that he is killed. But the IDF and military intelligence in Israel are very, very confident that they have indeed eliminated him at last. And it's interesting that the commander of Khan Yunis didn't go to Mohammed Deif's hideout in the tunnels, and military intelligence thinks because they didn't want to reveal Mohammed Deif's hideout in those tunnels. So the attack, Israel struck a bomb. They bombed part of the building where Rafat Salama and Mohammed Deif were meeting, and then a second bomb destroyed the entire building. As you can see, some of these videos that we were playing just shows the massive crater in the ground where they struck with this massive bomb. says the IDF then attacked the surrounding area with a fire belt to prevent rescue forces from saving Mohammed Deif. To ensure that there wasn't a tunnel beneath the complex for Mohammed Deif to escape, a bunker-busting bomb was used. And you can see the extent of the damage there. The amount of explosives dropped on the complex was the largest used by Israel in targeting assassination since the beginning of such operations. Experts estimate the lethal radius at 50 meters with a total effect diameter of 100 meters. The damage is visible up to 150 meters from the epicenter. Rumors suggest that Mohammed Deif's body is currently being held in a hospital in Khan Yunis, although, as I said before, Hamas has refused to confirm that he has been killed, but the IDF is confident that this time they have indeed eliminated this arch terrorist. And if this is the case, as seems to be at this point, this is a huge, huge win for Israel. Mohammed Deif is an idolized figure in the Palestinian world, in the Hamas, pro-Hamas world, those that are fighting against the Jewish state, fighting against the people of God here in Israel. He is used as a slogan saying, we are Mohammed Deif's children. We are Mohammed's soldiers that are fighting the Zionist, whatever their chants are, the Zionist enemy. And so he's seen as this idolized figure, and he's the military leader, the leader of Hamas's military wing inside the Gaza Strip. Now, what is interesting about this assassination is it seems to indicate that Hamas may indeed be starting to break. Previously, when Israel has taken out leaders of Hamas, Hamas hasn't really made too many comments about it, and they've struck back very hard at Israel and continued in their exact rhetoric in fighting Israel and attacking, shooting rockets into Israeli civilian centers. And now what's interesting about this assassination is that Hamas has not responded or retaliated in any way yet. And so far, Hamas has not backed out of the negotiations with Israel, the hostage/ceasefire negotiations that are ongoing with Hamas, and finally seem to be that Hamas is starting to yield some of their points that they were stuck on. The negotiables are now starting to be, they're starting to say, okay, we're going to start negotiating over these specific issues. And it kind of signals a shift in the war that Israel might now be gaining the leverage they need to release the hostages, either in a negotiation or just pressuring Hamas and completely crushing their military capability, as they're really, really starting to do now, and to just close that squeeze hold on Hamas's neck and force them to give up the hostages and potentially eliminate the threat of Hamas's military capabilities. And now, up until now, if you've been following any of the negotiations in Israel, the ceasefire negotiations, the hostage deals, Hamas has really been the one running the negotiations. And Israel has kind of been at the mercy of whatever Hamas would like to agree to. Israel is there to say, okay, yes or no. But Hamas has been the one stipulating the demands. Israel obviously has had demands, but they've had so much pressure from international community, the international community, the U.S. to capitulate on certain of the demands, whereas Hamas has not had that pressure near as much as Israel, and Israel has been a little bit more at Hamas's mercy. Now it seems that Hamas is starting to break, and maybe even starting to beg for a ceasefire after this strike, which potentially killed their second top guy. They're not backing out of the negotiation, saying, no, we're going to fight to the death with Israel. We're not going to negotiate because they killed our second in command. They're still in the negotiation, saying, no, we're still open to negotiation, which signals a change from what previously has been taking place, which is exactly what Israel needs to potentially secure the release of the hostages in the Gaza Strip. Also, the last thing I wanted to point out is that Hamas this time has not responded. It's been 2 days now. This is Monday, July 15th. It's been 2 days since this strike, assassination took place of Mohammed Deif, and Hamas has not fired a single rocket into Israel since then, which previously, every time Israel succeeded in taking out one of their military leaders, one of their commanders, Hamas has struck with rockets, responded with rockets into Israeli civilian population centers. This time, no rockets, not a sound, which could be another indicator that Hamas may indeed be actually starting to break, in Israel really being able to gain the victory in this war against the threat of Hamas and the evil that has been pushed upon them, and really reared its head on October 7th. And obviously, this has been a storm long coming in Israel, and many warned about the threat of Hamas and the threat of Arab terrorism inside of Judea and Samaria, inside of Israel, and being threatened on their borders. But Israel and the international community were kind of lulled into a bit of a sleep. And then October 7th happened, and Israel finally woke up. And it seemed the world woke up for several days, but again, they were lulled back into their sleep. And the threat of terrorism, the threat of radical jihadist terrorism is still strong. And unfortunately, the support for eliminating that threat of radical Islamic jihadist terrorism is starting to wane. The support for that is starting to wane, and people are just saying, "Oh, just let them live. Just stop the fighting. Just stop the what's happening in Gaza, because there's people dying." No. This needs to be stopped, because more people will indeed die in the future if Israel does not go into Gaza and they do not completely eradicate Hamas, and if Israel does not eradicate the terrorism that is in Judea and Samaria, that is embedded deep in Judea and Samaria, with Hamas, with the Palestinian Authority, Fatah, with the Lion's Den organization, and multitude of other small terror organizations that operate in this area. More people continue to die, unless Israel, and hopefully with the support of other nations, with the support of people like the United States, who realize the threat that Israel is facing, and the threat that is coming to America and is already embedded in America from I'm talking specifically about radical Islamic terrorism. Thank you guys for watching today's show. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already to the Israel Guys. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the Israel Guys. As always, stop listening to lies and propaganda and connect with the truth of what is happening in Israel.
Facing Jerusalem, God's plan for global redemption was written as a message of hope for today's generation. When the first temple was dedicated several thousand years ago, God told King Solomon that he would hear and answer the prayer of any person that prayed toward his holy mountain in Jerusalem. In a world that is filled with confusion, anti-God rhetoric, and wokeism, God still has a plan for his people. For those who believe in the Bible, God is enacting a redemptive plan, and it is centered in Jerusalem. We must fix our gaze, both physically and spiritually, on Jerusalem and Israel to experience the blessing and power of God in our daily faith walk. Facing Jerusalem is refreshing, easy-to-read guide to understanding Jerusalem's role for Christians. Banking on our nearly 20 years of serving in the land of Israel and filled with our personal stories of working in the Holy Land, this book is sure to inspire, challenge, and fill you with fresh zeal in your walk with God. Order Facing Jerusalem today at an exclusive special discount. Use promo code Jerusalem to receive 10% off your order. We're so passionate about this message that we're not even worried about making money from the book sales. We simply want to inspire you to look toward and face Jerusalem in your Christian walk. By doing so, we firmly believe that you will experience the blessing, passion, and the power of God in your life. Purchase our book at facingjerusalem.com or click the link in the description below. Enter the promo code Jerusalem for 10% off. It's time to experience revival in the Christian faith, and we believe that the key ingredient to that is spiritually and physically facing Jerusalem. Go to facingjerusalemthebook.com or click the link in the description below to order your copy today.